back. Today we will be continuing on to page 22, I believe, the section titled The Devil of the Simon Necronomicon. So, as always, going to take a walk till we get to our little memorial bench and we will begin the reading. So, I'll let people start joining. Hit up that dude Ein Soph that added me on Discord. Shout out that guy. He was actually an interesting commenter for It is not about motivation. It is about discipline. Okay, for sure. You say so. Excuse you, bitch. Just so you guys know, I started this live before this lady was here. Alright, I'm not a weird. I'm just gonna put the camera down till this bitch gets out of my way, bro. Feel bad for this little white dog. I'm sure it's a nice dog, but she keeps letting it off the leash. Coyote's gonna eat this motherfucker for sure. This bitch keeps looking back at me too. I don't like. We're following the same trail, dude. I'm gonna pretend like I'm on the phone with these people. Morning. Busy day. Busy fucking day. Alright, guys, I just got one more person. Morning. Alright, we're good, guys. We're good. We got the fucking views going on. What the hell is today? Why is this so fucking popular? It's a Friday. Oh. Okay, it's because it's Friday, dude. I'm like, there's never this many people out when I'm on my walk, bro. Thank you. Shout out my boy River Rat, #1 fan right there. I appreciate that. What do you which videos do you usually watch? Are you here for the psychedelics or the opioids or the conspiracy theories or what? Yeah, I appreciate that though, man. Glad somebody does. I'm one of those people, I can't go back and watch my own videos. They'll make me hella cringe. Like, I'll just delete it, you know what I mean? But I'm getting better with that. One second, pretend like I'm talking. Morning. Oh, that's cute. It's that little dog missing a leg. I don't want to, I'm sure you guys can see it. I don't want to put the camera on it. XSE Terrace. What's up, dog? How you doing, man? How's your day? Berber Animations. What's up, y'all? Are you guys subscribers? Are you just stumbling upon the live? What's up? Oh, how do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it? What would you prefer to be called? What's your preferred pronoun, dog? Just, I guess, like, I don't know. I would just say type it out however it's pronounced, I guess. I don't know. Thank you, Berber Animations. I appreciate that, bro. Eris. Okay, yeah. What's up, Eris? That's a very unique name. What is that? Aztec or something? Like the conspiracy theory videos, because we live in a... Yes, sir, we do. Yaldabaoth, the Archons, Prison Planet, Demiurge, whatever you want to call it. You can call them Archons or demons or vampire. It's all the same thing, bro. At the end of the day, it's Exit Iris. I misspelled it on purpose. Yeah. No, I feel you. Okay, yeah, I get you, dog. Well, welcome to the thing. 1 second, let me get set up. Morning. Yeah, seriously, man. I'm already cooking just in these two right now.
I started out this morning and it was chilly. Now it's just like...
Yeah, I got home, I had to take off my hoodie. I put it back on. It was still wet. I was like, I'm good. I'm just getting new clothes. All right, have a good one. All right. Oh, yeah, as always, rest in peace to this guy, Matthew Daniel Josie, July 27, 1989 to May 11, 2009. He died in the creek that goes around the whole town. You can't see it, but it's right there. He was caught up in the water, drowned to death, and died. So we're on his memorial bench right now. So all due respect, rest in peace to that guy, right? Yeah, nah, shout out River Rat though. You're definitely not wrong. We do live on a prison planet, that's for sure. Go to Reddit, follow the Reddit Escaping Prison Planet. Highly recommend if you have never seen it. But all right, as usual, we're continuing the series. We're still in the introduction, actually. XXVIII, so that's going to be page 28. The section entitled The Devil. So that's where we'll begin. We'll continue off from last time. All right. Morning. All right, so page 28 of the introduction. Ein Sof, he's really back. This guy. Hold on, I love this guy. I don't know if you added me on Discord, bro, but I sent you my Discord, dog. Shout out Ein Sof, man. This guy's always in the lives. I love it. All right. Serious time. Study time, guys. Be serious. Page 28, The Devil. Pazuzu was a prime example of the type of devil of which the Sumerians were particularly aware, and which they depicted constantly in their carvings and statues. The purpose of this iconography was to ward off the spiritual and psychic circumstance which would precipitate a plague or other evil. Evil to destroy evil. Although the ancient peoples of the world were conscious of an entity we might call the author of all evil, the devil or Satan, as evident in the Sumerian creation epic and the rumored existence of the cult of Set of the Egyptians, the more pressing concern was usually the exorcism of the little devils that tormented society. There is no exorcism of Tiamat. She exists somehow, just as the abyss exists, and is perhaps indispensable to human life if we think of her as typifying the female quality of energy. Although Marduk was responsible for having the monster from the sea, the Sumerian tradition has it that the monster is not dead, but dreaming, asleep below the surface of the earth. Strong, potent, dangerous, and very real, her powers can be tapped by the knowledgeable, who are skillful to rouse Leviathan. Although the Christian religion has gone to great lengths to prove that the devil is inferior to God and exists solely for his purpose as the tempter of man, surely a dubious raison d'etre. The Sumerian tradition acknowledges that the person of evil is actually the oldest, most ancient of the gods, whereas Christianity states that Lucifer was a rebel in heaven and fell from God's grace to ignominy below. The original story was that Marduk was the rebel and severed the body of the ancient of ancient ones to create the cosmos. In other words, the precise reverse of the Judeo-Christian dogma. The elder gods evidently possessed a certain wisdom that was not held by their parents, yet their parents held the power, the primal strength, the first magic that the elder ones tapped to their own advantage, for they were begotten of her. Yeah, I did send. Alright, bet. I'll add you back, Einsof. I appreciate that, big dog. Always good to see you, bro. Lowry Jimmy Hippie. Of course, buddy. Of course I'm a hippie, bro. You see the bandana, you see the hair? It is generally accepted in the halls of magic that all of the wisdom in the world is useless without the necessary adjunct of power. This power has gone by many names, as the goddess and the devil have, but the Chinese symbolize it by the dragon. It is the force of will, and relies heavily upon the biochemical matter that makes up the human body and, hence, the human consciousness, to give it existence. Science is coming around to accept the fact that the will does exist, just at the point where psychology has determined it does not. In the behaviorist, vain attempt to eradicate what has always been known to constitute vital parts of the psyche from their consideration in pseudoscientific experimentation, leaving us with the white mice and pigeons of Kostler's The Ghost in the Machine. Science, ancient sister of magic, has begun to realize the human potential that resides inconspicuously in the spiral-mapped matter of the brain, just as the magicians, accused of trafficking with the devil, were said to have developed tremendous power over natural phenomena. Science has ascended to that realm unblamed and guiltless. The Pope has ridden in aircraft. Cardinals have flown in choppers over battlefields in Southeast Asia, urging technological ecocide, invoking Christ, pronouncing damnation and the devil on the industrially inferior man. Esse qui tolit peccata mundi. As a rock group from England, home of the Anglican heresy, signs of sympathy for the devil, Pazuzu, Tiamat, the 7 deadly sins, the fear of Lovecraft and the pride of Crowley. The lunar landing was the symbolic manifestation of man's newly acquired potential power to alter the nature, and perhaps via nuclear weapons, the course of the heavenly bodies, the Zonai, the elder gods. It is a power the ancient ones have been waiting for millennia, and it is now within their grasp. The next century may deliver unto mankind this awesome power and responsibility, and will leave him knocking on the dread doors of the Azanai, the Igigi, approaching the barrier that keeps out the Absu. And one day, without benefit of Necronomicon, the race of man will smash the barrier, and the Ancient Ones will rule once more. An alternative possibility exists, that, by landing on the moon, we have come to reinstate the ancient covenant, and thereby assure our protection from the outside. Since the gods are forgetful, by treading on their celestial spheres, we are reminding them of their ancient obligations to us, their created ones. For, as it is said in one of man's most ancient of covenants, the Emerald Tablet, as above, so below. Man's power to alter the nature of his environment must develop simultaneously with his ability to master his inner environment, his own mind, his psyche, soul, spirit. Perhaps then, the lunar landing was the first collective initiation for humanity, which will bring it one step closer to a beneficent force that resides beyond the race of the cruel celestial spirits, past the abyss of knowledge. Yet, he must remember that the occult powers that accompany magical attainment are ornamental only, indications of obstacles overcome on the path to perfection, and are not to be sought after in themselves, for therein lies the truth death. Oh, hold on, y'all gotta see this, bro. Fucking horses. Fire. That's an interesting concept, Ein Sof. You know, I guess when I say there was an original language, you know, I get what you mean. Like, I would say it's probably like the original language was more like psychic communication, like telepathy, ancient sorcerers. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, when I say language, I get what you mean. I guess I'm not saying physical word language, but yeah, like we had our unified consciousness. Yeah, and we could just communicate telepath. Well, think about, do you think music, like think about higher vibrations and magical, you know, like binaural beats. Um, do you think it was communicated through word language, telepathy, or do you think it was even on a level to where the sound could, because I've been on psychedelics before where I'd hear a sound and it's like you could see, smell, taste, re-experience the memory that was associated with the sound just because all your five senses were combined into one sense. I think that's probably the original language, was like, I couldn't just tell you about my experience, but I could have you experience it, if that makes any sense. I guess that's what I would mean by like the original language, you know what I mean? Yet, he must remember that the occult powers that accompany magical attainment are ornamental only, indications of obstacles overcome on the path to perfection, and are not to be sought after in themselves, for therein lies the truth, death. Lovecraft saw this as the world passed from one war and moved menacingly toward another. Crowley prepared for it, and provided us with the formula. The mad Arab saw it all in a vision and wrote it down. He was, perhaps, one of the most advanced adepts of his time, and he certainly has something to say to us today, in a language the intuition understands. Yet they called him mad. Accompanied in the ranks of the insane by such madmen as Nietzsche, Artaud, and Reich, the mad Arab makes a fourth, in a life and death game of cosmic bridge. They are all voices crying in that wilderness of madness that men call society, and as such were ostracized, stoned, and deemed mentally unfit for life. But for them, justice will come when we have realized that the ship of state and the ship of saint, Peter, have become mere ships of fools, with captains who course the sea by stars, ignoring the eternal ocean. And then, we will have to look to the prisoners in the hold for navigational guidance. It is there, always, and Cthulhu calls. And that is the end of the introduction. We are now going to be entering the prefatory notes, Page XXXI, page 31 of the introduction. Prefatory notes. The present manuscript was delivered into the hands of the editor by a priest who had managed to get ordained through uncanonical methods, which have been entertainingly described in the several books and articles on the ecclesiastic phenomenon, the wandering bishops. Just such an unorthodox prelate was Father Montague Summers, who wrote numerous books on demonology, witchcraft, and the like. Suffice it to say, we were rather doubtful as to the authenticity of the work before us. In the first place, it was in Greek, and for quite a while it was difficult to ascertain what it might actually be, save for the title Necronomicon and the many weird drawings. In the second place, after translation, we found several internal inconsistencies and some evidence that would suggest we did not possess the entire work. There may still be some missing, or the irregular monastic might have withheld certain of the chapters. As the chapters are not numbered, it is difficult to say. A great deal of misfortune accompanied the publication of this book. First, we went through more than one translator. The last finally absconded with his preface, describing his work in some detail. This we will have to do from memory in the following pages. At one point, an unscrupulous publisher from the West Coast took a copy of the translation, including some dummies which we were in the habit of giving potential publishers for our protection, and went off, and has not been heard from again. At a crucial stage in the preparation of the manuscript, the editor was stricken with a collapsed lung and had to undergo emergency surgery to save his life. But let us proceed with a description of the contents of the Necronomicon. Sorcerers saw that humans are cattle to this inorganic predator from the cosmos called the Flyer or Archon. They've given us our mind, so our belief system came from them. Okay, so who is it you're saying gave us our mind? You're saying the Archons gave us our mind, and that our belief system comes from the Archons? What exactly do you mean by that? Within these pages, a series of myths and rituals are presented that have survived the darkest days of magic and occultism. You think we got our minds from the Ark? So, do you believe in like Gnostic religion, or where exactly are you getting this from? Is this like Ralph Smart Infinite Waters? Like when you say we were given our minds from the Archons, are you saying like our soul is from God, from the Pleroma, and then our mind was given to us by the Archons? Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot you really fuck with Carlos Castaneda. Honestly, bro, you're still gonna have to give me more recommendations. I read his one book, The Teachings of Don Juan, the Yaqui Way of Knowledge. But if you have any more, I'd be really interested to read more Carlos Castaneda. Have you ever read up on Ashid and Fardid? Worth the look. I've never heard of that. Is that a person or a book, or what is that? Elaborate, please. I'm interested in hearing. I just need a description. And if I exit out to look it up right now, it'll stop the live, so I'll definitely save it and look it up after this, but if you could give me just a little rundown, I would appreciate that. The exorcism and bindings of the famous Maklu text are here presented for the first time in English, although not completely, for the originals in their entirety were evidently not known to the author of the Necronomicon, nor are they to present scholarship. The various tablets upon which they were written being cracked and effaced in many places, rendering translation impossible. The Magan text, which comprises the creation epic of the Sumerians, with much later glosses, and the account of Inanna's descent into the underworld, along with more extraneous matter, is presented. The unique book entrance has no counterpart in occult literature, and the drawings of magical seals and symbols are wholly new to anything that has yet appeared on the contemporary occult scene, although bearing some resemblances to various diagrams found in the ancient Arabic texts of the last millennium. Although some of the characters found in these pages can be traced to Mandaic and Demotic sources, and are evidently of a much later date than the rites of Sumer, the overall appearance of the seals is quite unusual, almost surreal. The book begins with an introduction by the alleged author, the Mad Arab, the name that Lovecraft made famous, Abdul al-Hazred, does not appear in our copy of the Necronomicon, and ends with a sort of epilogue by the same Arab. We have called the first part, the testimony of the Mad Arab, and the latter, the testimony of the Mad Arab, the second part. The second part is the most chilling. The author has, by his stage in the writing of his opus, become fearful for his soul and begins to repeat himself in the text, saying things he has already said in previous chapters as though having forgotten he had said them, or perhaps to stress their importance. The second testimony is riddled through with non sequiturs and bits of incantation. He does not finish the book. It trails off where he would have signed it, presumably in the Arab manner by giving his lineage. Instead, it ends before he can name himself or even relation. We can only imagine with horror what fate befell this noble sage. From the Carlos Castaneda Cosmology. Bounce that ass for the black man. Who the fuck is this guy? I'm assuming you're black, right? You're definitely a dark magician, that's for sure. I can't read. Who the fuck are you, bro? My whole channel's reading. Give me some pointers then, dark magician. Let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear it from the dark magician. You know what I mean? You can't even spell ass. You spelled ah. This nigga can't spell. He trying to get on me for reading. This boy can't even spell, dog. Oh my lord. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'll take Johnny Depp. I usually get Jim Morrison, but I'm not gross. You are, man. What the fuck do you know? I'll take that though. So glad you got away from Amber. Oh, that bitch took a shit on my bed, dog. You know what I mean? Like, she was crazy before that. You know, it was like, the pussy was fire. She had a lot of money for drugs. But when she took that shit on my bed, I don't deal with that. I'm German, but I don't deal with that scheisse, you know what I mean? Anyways. Another problem that confronts the editor is the suspected frequency of copyist glosses. That is, there do seem to be occasionally bits of sentence or fragments of literature that would seem to be inconsistent with the period in which the text was written. However, no final word can be said on this matter. The difficulty arises in the age-old question of which came first, the chicken or the egg. For instance, not down, therefore, into the darkly shining world, which might have been of Greek origin and not Zoroastrian. It is a question for scholars. The etymology of certain words is a game that has fascinated both the editor and perhaps a score or more of Sumerian researchers of the past. The Sumerian origins of many of the words and place names we use today provide us with an insight into our own origins. For instance, the Sumerian word for the temple is bar, from which we get our word barrier, or so it is said by Waddle. This makes sense in the context of the Necronomicon, which is very much concerned with the erecting and maintaining of barriers against the hostile forces outside. The etymology is even dramatic where magic is concerned, and aids us in understanding even Crowley's system better than we do. As an example, Crowley, or Awas, ends the Book of Law with the words Aum Ha. In the Sumero-Aryan dictionary by Waddle,
we read that the word Aum was known to the Sumerians, in almost the same sense that it was and is known to the Hindus as the word Om. It is a sacred word and pertains to the Lord of Magicians, Enki. Further, the Greek spelling of Enki was Ea, by which he is most commonly known in the European texts which treat of Sumeriology. In the Greek alphabet, Ea would appear as Ha, H-A. Qed, Ha, betrays the essential Sumerian character of that book. Castaneda sorcery came from the oldest advanced civilization known as the Olmec. They had real magical technology.
You're going to have to elaborate on the Olmecs. So the Olmecs translates to the rubber people. The Olmecs, it's famous in Mesoamerica. They were older than the Incas, the Mayas, the Aztecs. They left these giant stone carvings of human heads, and these features seemed very reminiscent of almost Polynesian or African facial features. And the rocks that the heads were carved out of, the stones were actually from Africa. So I'm gonna have to do more research on the Olmecs. My homie Brian, shout out Brian Basket, my OG black uncle for real. Shout out him though. He tried to put me on the Olmecs. I wasn't interested. Give me some more information though, Einself. Elaborate. Like when you say they're the oldest, how old do you mean and how do you know that? Like where are we getting this research from? All right. Everyone wait on. Einself's going to hit us with that information. In the meantime, we will continue. After the initial testimony, we come to the chapter entitled Of the Zonai and Their Attributes. Zonai is, of course, a Greek word and refers to the planetary or heavenly bodies, for they are zoned, i.e. having set courses in spheres. They are also known as such in the Chaldean oracles. The spirits or bodies that exist beyond the zonai are called the azonai, meaning unzoned. Whether this refers to the so-called fixed stars, having no sphere ascertainable to the early astronomers, or to the comets is unknown to the editor. Whatever the case may be, the zonai seem to include the 7 philosophical planets, i.e., including the sun and moon as planetary bodies, along with Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Each has their own seal and their own number. Kenneth Grant, author of Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God, may be interested, or he may already know, that the number of the Sumerian goddess of Venus, hence of love and war, is 15. In many of the ancient tablets of that period, she is actually referred to as the 15, as a shortcut to spelling out the whole name in cuneiform, we assume. Grant made much of the goddess 15 in his study of Crowley's system as related to Tantricism, without mentioning the name by which the goddess is quite well known, or even mentioning her native country. After the chapter of Zonai, we come to the Book of Entrance, which is really a system of self-initiation into the planetary spheres, and may have something to do with the planetary arrangement of the steps of the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, which were 7-storied mountains. Not much is revealed to the potential candidate for initiation as to how these gates work or what he might find there, save to say that the key of one gate lies in mastering the gate before it. The mad Arab was either keeping a sacred secret or found human language inadequate to the task of describing what other initiates in similar systems have expressed in the vague abstractions of the truly illuminated, likening the experience to an LSD trip. The incantations of the gate follow, and are probably meant to accompany the preceding chapter, being prayers proper to each of the celestial gates. The conjuration of the fire god follows this, and resembles the other in its mixture of Greek and Sumerian phrases. It should be noted here that wherever a Sumerian phrase appears in the original MS, we have kept it as it is, untranslated, as we expect the mad Arab would have wanted it. Quite possibly, even he did not know the exact meanings of much of the conjurations in the old tongue,
but viewed it as a barbarous tongue, which must be preserved because of its essential power. Indeed, with the publication of this book, Sumerian may become as popular among magicians as the strange, angelic language of Enochian, discovered by Dr. Dee in Elizabethan England. In Greek, in the original MS, a common incantation would look something like this, using Roman characters for the Greek.
Occult daemon. O daemon, numa to orano, thu matheti, numa tes ges domathate. O wicked god, O wicked demon, O demon. Spirit of the sky, remember. Spirit of the earth, remember.
Yet, a word like Shamash, the name of the solar deity, would read Samas or Samos, and in the text of the Necronomicon, we would use the correct translation phonetic, which would make the word read like its original. The conjuration of the Watcher follows the fire god conjuration. The word Watcher is sometimes used synonymously with angel, and sometimes as a distinct race, apart from the angelos, egregori. The race of Watchers said not to care what they watch, save that they follow orders. They are somewhat mindless creatures, but quite effective. Perhaps they correspond to Lovecraft's Shoggoths, save that the latter became unwieldy and difficult to manage.
I got it online from the supposed sorcerer who is a student of Carlos. He say we can learn to see into the future and past with this technology. If I recall, it is around 11,000 years old. Well, give me more information on who this person you're referencing is. But just based on what you're saying, that could be very accurate, because we know that the flood was 12,000 years ago. They call it the Younger Dry. Before that was like the Younger Dryas period. And nah, I might be getting this wrong, but if you know Randall Carlson and all them, we know for a fact 12,000 years ago that there was a giant flood. So if we're going with the biblical Noah flood, or like from the Atrahasis, the Enuma Elish of Sumerian mythology, they also have the story of Noah. That would line up pretty well.
I guess you're just gonna have to give me more information, bro. I'm gonna need you to cite your evidence, because it's not that
I fuck with you, Einstein. Everything we've talked about so far, I really fuck with you. But when it comes to when it comes to this game, bro, when it comes to the occult, when it comes to the spiritual, when it comes to religion, you need to be very factual with your evidence, because the reason people think we're so stupid and all this shit talk about, they're like, oh, they're just kooks, that occult magic hippie bullshit. It's because there is a lot of kooks out there. 99% of these retards just go around spreading stuff with no evidence, you know what I mean? And so that's why if we go around saying things, we need to back them up with at least evidence, or, citing or quoting or something, you know what I mean? So cite me who it is you're referring to. But I am very interested. I mean, so far everything the guy said lines up. And that's actually good timing too, because we're going to finish these last 2 pages right here, and that'll be officially pretty much the ending of the introduction. After that, we just have comparisons of the Sumerian language. Yeah, just comparisons, a couple conjurations, and then we will begin the actual Necronomicon. So, all right, guys, let's finish this up. I'm gonna walk home. We will end the stream tomorrow. We should go through all that, I imagine, and then we will beginning the actual Necronomicon. Thank you for everyone that has listened and followed this far. Let's finish up this intro, guys. After the Watcher comes the Maklu text, which appears to be a collection of exorcisms, which includes the famous Zilka Silka Besa Besa incantation in the original, to which a translation has been appended in this work.
a translation evidently not at hand when the author compiled the MS. Thus, for the first time, this much-rumored exorcism is available in full and in English. After this, the Book of Calling needs little explanation. It is the grimoire of the Necronomicon, containing the formula of ritual conjuration, as well as the seals and diagrams to accompany the rites. It is followed by the Book of 50 Names, being 50 separate powers of the god Marduk, defeater of chaos. This is interesting, in that the name seems to come from the Enuma Elish, in which the elder gods confer the 50 names upon Marduk as titles, in their appreciation of his routing of evil. A sigil is given for each of the names, and a word of power for most of them. Then appears the centerpiece of the book, the Magan text. The word Magan may mean the land of Magan, which was said to lie in the west of Sumer. For a time, it seems that the name Magan was synonymous with the place of death, as the sun died in the west. Hence, it is a bit confusing as to what Magan is really supposed to mean in this text. But in the context of the place of death, explanation seems quite valid. The Magan text is nothing more than an incomplete and free-form version of the creation epic of Sumer, along with Inanna's descent into the underworld and many glosses. We are told how Marduk slays Tiamat, after much the same fashion that the chief of police of Amity slays the great white shark in Benchley's novel Jaws, blowing an evil wind, the oxygen tank, into her mouth and sending an arrow or a bullet in after it to explode her. Surely, the 2 or 3 most box office successful films of the past few years, Jaws, The Exorcist, and perhaps The Godfather, are an indication that the essence of Sumerian mythology is making itself felt in a very real way in this, the latter half of the 20th century. After the long and poetic Magan text comes the Aurelia text, which might be Lovecraft's Rilye text, and is subtitled Abominations. It is more specifically to do with the worship of the serpent, and the nature of the cults that participate in the concelebration of sin. Again, more conjurations and seals are given, even though the reader is charged not to use them, an inconsistency that is to be found in many grimoires of any period, and perhaps reveals a little of the magician's mentality. For there is very little that is evil to the advanced Magus, who cares not if he deals with angelic or demonic forces, save that he gets the job done. Then, following the text, and forming the very end of the received MS, is the second part of the testimony of the mad Arab. It is a haunting and sorrowful melody of the mind, of this much talked about but little known occult personality. Was he really mad? This is perhaps a question that will go on for as long as man tries to understand himself. Himself is a part of the cosmic dance and spiral, which includes the satanic as well as the deific, the sad as well as the happy. Perhaps the Arab was privy to some otherworldly secret that he could not reveal. Perhaps he had opened the door by mistake, his own personal gate to the abyss, and was forced to cross its threshold into the unknown. We may never know, or we may never wish that we had. The editor, New York City, New York, October 12th, 1975. Yeah, brother, I'll make you a mod right now. Okay, bro, you're now a moderator. I appreciate that, dog. Hell yeah, bro. I'll respond to you on Discord. Good seeing you as always, brother. Thank you for viewing. And we'll have to set up something sometime, dude. We can chat. Because me and the homies do live streams
on Twitch. I don't know if you play Fortnite at all, but we usually just play Fortnite. If you ever want to hop on, I don't know if you game, bro, but just let me know. I'd be more than happy to have you come chill with the homies. Put us on some Carlos Castaneda, you know what I mean? But, alright, guys. That is going to be the end of the reading for today. So that was the end of the introduction. I mean, technically, we're still in the introduction, prefatory notes, whatever. Finished all the official stuff. Tomorrow, we're just going to see all these, mostly just, honestly, it's language comparisons. It's going to show you, this is the Sumerian word, like, let's say, like, we have Cthulhu, right? And then it'll show you the Sumerian word Cthulhu. So you have Lovecraft's Cthulhu. You have Cthulhu from Sumeria, and then it will also give us one of Aleister Crowley's Thelemic, whatever the equivalent to Cthulhu would be. Well, let me just look. I'm talking like I don't have the fucking book in my hand, guys. Let's just see if they even have that. Yeah, see? Look at this. So in Lovecraft's mythology, you have Cthulhu. In Crowley's mythology, you have the Great Beast as represented in Cthulhu 666. And in Sumer, you have Cthulhu or Cthulhu. So it's going to be going through the actual, like, we're going to get very specific with what these comparisons are. But yeah, that's it, guys. I'm going to walk home. If anyone has anything they'd like to say before we end stream, feel free to drop a comment. But if not, as usual, we'll just make it to this little hill. And then I'm going to dip out. Today, what is it right now? It's only 10:30. So I got to go. I'm going to take the bus up to Longmont. I'm going to go try to get a job in Longmont, like a good job, like at USPS. Then I'm going to go down to Gun Barrel. Try to just wish me good luck, guys. I'm gonna try to get it real good. I'm trying to get one of these like library USPS, like a city government job. Maybe not government, because we obviously saw for the last 42 fucking days our government's been shut down, which is crazy. Because think about this, guys. The government was shut down for 42 days. I didn't even notice a single difference in my daily life, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't on EBT. So, obviously, I feel bad for the people who aren't EBT. They really need it. They really deserve it, obviously. But, isn't that crazy to you guys, though? Think about it, dude. Our government was gone for a month, a week, and then even a couple days beyond that. And, it didn't make a fucking difference in my life, bro. You know what I mean? But, alright. Well, as always, Ein Sof. You're now a moderator. Use your powers wisely. I'll hit you up on Discord. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and everyone who will eventually watch this. Tune in tomorrow morning for the usual. And may God bless you all. I'll see you later.